Okay, so ich glaube, wir sind soweit. Entschuldigt bitte, sorry. I'm talking in German, I'm sorry for that. So there were some moments of confusion about the starting of the workshop, but finally I think we can start. So hello everybody to this kind of final conference of the Smart SMEs project. And I will share quickly the screen with you to show you an overview of the today's seminar or workshop, how we could call it. Actually, I'm the coordinator of the Smart SMEs project. It has been Alpaf financed, and this project has been designed by different action groups of the EUSALP macro-regional strategy. So the action groups involved are Action Group 2, 5, and 3. And you also can see the labels, the logos from all our project partners at the bottom of the page. It's Swiss Center for Mountain Regions in Switzerland as the lead partner. And then we have BIOPRO from Germany, Provincia Autonoma di Trento from Italy. Then we have also the University of Maribor, Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. We have Anteja and from Slovenia, and the Hub Innovazione Trentino, and also EcoPlus from Austria. So actually, what was it all about, this project, Smart SMEs? The main aim of our project was to see to what extent, and also to understand to what extent SMEs that are actually active in the natural fibers domain use digitalization tools and approaches, and also to detect hindrances, reasons, obstacles that prevent these SMEs to use digitalization to the full extent. So it's all about digitalization and SMEs, but with a focus on the natural fiber sector. So today's main aim actually is to present you the main outputs of the different work packages, and then also have some room for questions. We can answer your questions, or you should list your questions actually in the chat, and then at the end of every presentation I will take the opportunity to select some of your questions and to ask them to the presenters. So it's all via the chat function. And we have quite this, how could I say, a very tight time schedule, also with the delay we have experienced. So I hope that we can go through our program as it has been foreseen, but we will see. We have to stay flexible on this issue too. So I stop my presentation, and I go further on to start with our kind of series of work package presentations, and we will start with work package 1 and Mrs. Olga Boyarintseva from BIOPRO Baden-Württemberg, and she will tell us more about the state of play of digitalization in SMEs in the Alpine arc, and also she will also give an oversight on value chains digitalization, and always with the focus, of course, on the natural fiber sector. So please, Olga, could you please share your presentation?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly well.
Great. So, Just a second.
No problem.
So can you see the presentation now?
Fine, yes, perfect.
In the presentation modus or?
Not yet in the presentation
Not
mode.
yet. And now? Is it now in the presentation modus?
Yeah, but we can see actually it's this presentation mode where you also have your notes and such things.
Ah, okay. Well, let me try.
Bildschirmpräsentation verwenden, perhaps it might be.
No, I will try to disconnect the big screen. And now, is it better now?
No, it's still the same. Yeah, perhaps you close the presentation and you share it again.
I will try.
Yeah,
now it's fine. Perfect.
Yeah, okay, good. So, thank you for the presentation, Peter, Mrs. Olga Boyarintseva. I'm not yet Mrs., but still Miss, but thank you. So I'm representing BIOPRO Baden-Württemberg. This is the state agency in Baden-Württemberg, which is responsible for the topics of bioeconomy in Baden-Württemberg. And I would like to introduce the first thematic work package of the project Smart SMEs to you, in which we mapped the actual state of play and needs of SMEs in the participating Alpine regions. So let me first remind you what an SME is. According to the European Commission, the main factors which determine an enterprise as a micro, small or medium-sized one are the staff headcount and either turnover or balance sheet total. The project Smart SMEs is focused on companies which produce, process and apply natural fibers, namely those that are related to value chains in the fields of agriculture and forestry and wood production, both cultivated and recycled. So those SMEs were our scope. Based on a desk research carried out by all project partners, there were elaborated value chains for each participating region. And the value chains start either cultivated plant or with the recycled feedstock. This slide in particular depicts a value chain developed for Baden-Württemberg, starting with the cultivation of maize plant up to manifold products through all production and market phases. In the next slide, you can see another example from Slovenia, which is mainly a wood country. So this is a value chain based on wood recycling, also with a range of production processes. Actually, a lot of knowledge on digitalization and its potentials for SMEs is available at providers of such services or research institutions and universities. However, especially small companies, which are often overwhelmed with a lot of daily routine, may have difficulties in recognizing and using the potential that digitalization offers them. So our goal was to understand to what extent small and medium-sized enterprises in the Alpine space use relevant digitalization tools and approaches. And also, we identified obstacles that prevent SMEs from exploiting the full potential of digital solutions. One of the main parts in our research was a survey for small and medium-sized enterprises from the agriculture and wood sectors in Baden-Württemberg, Lower Austria, Slovenia, and Trentino. And we received questionnaires from 30 SMEs. So yes, it turned out that it was not that easy to convince relevant companies to participate in this survey, even though it was conducted on the anonymous basis. And in this graph, you can see how they evaluate the degree of the use of digitalization tools. The majority answered that either use rarely or never use such tools. 1/3 of the respondents apply digitalization technologies in about 50% of their activities, and only 7 companies are digitalized in all business areas. Partially because of the financial issues, the digitalization strategy of the interviewed companies is still in the hands of their management. So only few respondents mentioned that they have an IT department or something like that, kind of group of people who deal with digitalization. In case of the use, digitalization knowledge and tools are mostly applied by our SMEs in the departments of general management, production processes, sales, purchasing, and logistics. And the main challenges and obstacles which the respondents of this survey see on the way to digitalization are lack of qualified personnel, a lack of financial resources, also difficulties in organizing the workflow, including the IT systems, as I mentioned before, and in general, lack of knowledge about digitalization technologies. So the SMEs stress that sometimes they don't have even a person who could, let's say, learn about the current status of the digitalization tools and approaches and services which are provided for SMEs. And when we asked which goals companies associate with advancing their digitalization level, they mentioned that they would like to get new customers and they would like to get to new markets. Also, they mentioned increasing productivity and level of innovation, and also saving of costs. So in order to increase the digitalization level, SMEs are ready to invest in the following activities. They ready to acquire new or improved hardware, software, to recognize to organize the workflow and integrate new digital work steps, to develop them new their marketing or sales concepts, develop their corporate website even, and online advertising and promotion were also mentioned by the SMEs. In addition to the development of the value chains and to the survey, also investigated an ecosystem of the digitalization knowledge in the project regions. For instance, we identified different institutions which own and provide knowledge in the project regions, digitalization knowledge, I mean. For instance, we identified different institutions, not only institutions, but also tools and instruments, like, for example, digital innovation hubs. Digital innovation hubs, these are unique crystallization points for digital innovation, and they also kind of original contact points for SMEs in terms of questions related to digitalization. We also conducted table research on the financial support and incentives related to digitalization. So, for example, there are different grants, innovation vouchers, digitalization premium, etc. And also, additionally, to get the full information on the ecosystem, we also thought that it would be interesting to investigate the respective state policies and economic strategies in the participating regions, and some examples you can see in this slide. So to summarize, we found out that digitalization is a present topic in the selected Alpine regions, and the access to such knowledge is available to small and medium-sized enterprises in various ways. However, in spite of the fact that SMEs account for more than 85% of all companies, and in some regions exceed even 99%, their input in the entire digitalization expenditure is still quite low, mainly due to the reasons I mentioned in my presentation. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm open to questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you very much, Olga, for this presentation, which gives a kind of an overview of the state of the play, yes, of SMEs with regard to digitalization. And you underlined, yes, the provision of digitalization knowledge is very important. And there I would just wonder if you could also please give an example of a digitalization knowledge provider or a strategy. Was that part also of your project research?
Okay, so let me then, knowledge provider and strategy. So then I will come back to one of my slides. Which one was this? For example, here you can see, like I just give a random example, the House of Digitalization in Lower Austria. This is a kind of, not a kind of, this is a lighthouse project of the Lower Austrian digitalization strategy. So this is a platform that offers companies and researchers the connection of their interests or digital skills, expertise, and it also provides knowledge and networks which are customized to the local circumstances, so to speak, to the local settings.
Okay.
Or example of a strategy, this could be the name which I like the most, Piano Industria 4.0. That would be an example of the strategy. This is an Italian plan for companies, and it implies, or the measures of this plan imply tax incentives, access to finances, development of skills related to new technologies and innovative processes, which stem, so all the processes or technologies, they stem from the industry 4.0. That's why it's called like that, I guess. That would be a couple of examples.
Okay, thank you very much, Olga. So I see there is no other question in the chat. So we move forward, and please just stop your screen sharing, Olga, so that we can go to the next work package. There it was the University of Maribor, the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science was responsible for this work package, and actually Aida, Kamisalic, Latific will present us on one hand obstacles for digitalization processes in SMEs, but also opportunities and potentials. And she will also mention some best practices for smart SMEs to be implemented to actually improve their digitalization strategy process. So actually, I would like to welcome Aida for the next presentation. I see you have already shared your screen, so go ahead, please, Aida.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, perfectly well, crystal clear.
Okay, so thank you for this introduction. We as University of Maribor, Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, we were, let's say, in charge of this work package 3. So at the beginning, I will just give you a short overview of what actually our activities were planned and what we did. So first, we wanted to collect existing good practices and tools of knowledge transfer on transferring knowledge on digitalization to SMEs. This was performed as a desk research by all partners on a selected value chain in their region or their country. Then we performed a SWOT analysis of existing good practices and tools. Of course, we were able to identify the bottlenecks and constraints, and based on those also offer some recommendations. Finally, also we collected the existing digitalization tools. Later on, at the end of the presentation, I will show you this Smart SMEs .um.si webpage, where all of these digitalization tools are gathered and can be accessed by SMEs. This transferring knowledge on digitalization to SMEs was studied in 4 dimensions. First dimension was skills of the staff, which actually refers to the activities for employees, such as workshops, trainings, and so on. Then the second dimension, methods, which refers to different mechanisms used for sharing the know-how. The third dimension were technologies and tools, which refers to various IT solutions. And the final dimension, new value generation, that is actually referring to innovative approaches. So we were able to identify different levels of good practices for SME digitalization. So one level are government level policies, so to say policy makers. So here are practices developed by local and national governments. Often they are based on a national digitalization strategy, and they are often offering funding schemes, dedicated policy agencies, their public events, vouchers, EU funding projects, and so on. The second group, second level, were research centers or innovation hubs that are actually having the role of intermediary in knowledge transfer between academia and industry. And they are there to support SMEs in their digitalization efforts. And they offer workshops, consulting services, discussion platforms, project partnership, and so on. And the third group or third level that we identified were private sector level. So here they have important role in sharing the know-how to other SMEs, and they can offer direct access to targeted solutions, partnerships, and collaboration between SMEs. So this is the level where we identified only one good practice, which actually by itself, this information gives us that the huge potential is still there. And I believe that this is the part where we have to do the biggest step forward. In other two, in a government level, we detected 9 policies, nine good practices and tools. And in a research center level, we were able to detect 10 of them. I will just go to this brief presentation of these good practices and tools that we detected. I won't enter into the details of all of those, but maybe just to point out some of them. For example, in Italy, the interesting good practice is innovation manager voucher, which is provided by Italian Economic Development Ministry, and the vouchers actually provide the introduction of an innovative manager in SMEs. So the person that would be that would implement key enabling technologies and modernize the enterprise. For example, in the case of Austria, Olga before already mentioned the House of Digitalization and their platform, which actually connects SMEs with the main IT knowledge providers. In Switzerland, for example, SME portal that provides small and medium enterprises with practical knowledge, online services on for administrative matters. This is, I believe, the one of the crucial points, because many SMEs are left out of funding just because of some administrative procedures or bureaucratic procedures that they were not able to follow as they should. So it's quite important to reach specific help there for SMEs. For Slovenia, for example, we can point out a digital vouchers system, which is provided by the Slovenian Enterprise Fund, and they co-finance SMEs in their digitalization projects. So SMEs are able to acquire education and training vouchers, and in that way actually increase the level of digital competencies in their company, in their enterprise. And for the last, I would stay with in my opinion, one of the best good practices. Of course, it's the only one in this case that belongs to the private sector. And maybe that's why it sticks out so much, but it's a really good practice of this farm-like startup company that provides services to farmers to support them in precision farming and conversion, actually in their digital transformations. They are providing also consulting workshops with the specific knowledge to the SMEs. So I believe this is something that is a future, and that we have actually the biggest potential there yet to explore. Not to be too long, I would just wrap up with this actually largest this gap in the number of good practices that is the one that we have identified in a private sector, and that we could see that there is a low level of knowledge sharing between SMEs. So we have to establish the collaboration between all three levels, definitely, and also work on this, that governmental procedures or initiatives and research initiatives, they should actually motivate enterprises, SMEs to actually enter to this possibility of helping other SMEs in their digitalization efforts. So I would say this is what was what we have done within the work package 3. Now I will just point out this smartsmes.um.si webpage, so where you can find all detailed information on each one of those aspects that I have mentioned. I can maybe just show you briefly. Can you see the web page?
Yes.
Yes. So this is the web page dedicated for SMEs. So where we identify different tools that can help SMEs in their digitalization process. So they can here actually buy a price model, they can filter all the tools by language and the category, whether they need it for production, packaging, logistic, and so on. They got the list of the tools available in this category. So this is something that SMEs could do also without help of some external institutions. But still, I hope that they will try to receive as much as support from all those levels and all those initiatives that I've mentioned before. Here you can also find fact sheets that were prepared for different stakeholders, policymakers, research center, and the private sector. And you can also find all the publications that are result of our project, and that results are actually gathered in these publications. So thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Aida, for this presentation. And you did a lot of work also in a very concrete way. This website you mentioned is I think, is a very helpful kind of career to find different best practices and tools to be implemented in different also SMEs. And I would like to add here that, of course, our products, outputs, reports can be found under alpineregion.eu project Smart SMEs. So we have actually two websites, the one you just presented before, Aida, and then, of course, the one of EUSALP. So for further information, you could go there and find, I think, really a big bunch of helpful information in the field of smart SMEs, digitalization, natural fiber processing. So thank you very much. Aida, we are a bit short in time, so we just jump over to the next presentation, which will be done and held by Elisa Morganti from Hub Innovazione Trentino. And Elisa Morganti will show us, introduce us to an action plan for value chain building. So please, Elisa, go ahead. Elisa, we can see your presentation, but we cannot hear you. I guess the others can not hear you neither.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Now it works, yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. It was my microphone that was switched off. Sorry for that. So thank you, Peter. I'm Elisa Morganti from Hub Innovazione Trentino. Hub Innovazione Trentino is the foundation that is dealing with technology transfer and new entrepreneurship and innovation in Trentino. In this project, we have the duty to prepare a roadmap for the digitalization of value chain, for the digitalization of value chains in natural fiber sector, but also in other sectors that are related to the natural fibers one. So this was the objectives of the work packages 4. So the idea here is to make a further step from what has already done in the previous project, in the previous work packages. You have seen that a lot of work has been done to collect, to state the status of digitalization in the Alpine region. What we want to do in the work package 4 is to see how we can push the digitalization of the whole value chain. So not only the single SMEs, but the value chain as a complex. And this is the digitalization of the whole value chains put the whole process a step forward, because it requires a systemic transformation, allowing SMEs to benefit for a fair, more transparent and dynamic environment where to make a business and grow. The use of the technologies to connect and manage value chains cannot be postponed anymore. Because the value chains are becoming even more complex in terms of network, process, product, demand of the consumers and the user, and the organization capacity. So to move towards the digitalization of the whole value chains offers several advantages, making the whole value chains faster, more flexible, more customized, more accurate, and more efficient. Part of these activities started from a report made by experts hired by Hub Innovazione Trentino that also showed how value chain leader companies, so those companies that are pushing the whole value chain, demonstrated to be more resilient and adaptable to shock. So it is really important to move in this direction. We also collected a bunch of examples. You can find it in the report in the EUSALP Smart SMEs website. And for how good practice and examples of digitalization of the value chains in the wood, food, and the textile sectors. These sectors are very strictly related to natural fiber 1, but as you can see, can reach a broader scope. And you can find some examples. I don't want to spend much time here because you really can have a good insight in the report if you want to reach it. And also the digitalization of a value chain can also give a lot of opportunities and bring several advantages for also the single SMEs, but for the whole system as well, in terms of end-to-end visibility, new customer experience, some supply chain synchronization, improve the logistics and storage management. Also, data collection and analytics can create new opportunities for data-driven services and business models. But the questions are, what are the main barriers that prevents the full digitalization of the value chain? So we have the analysis that we made on the value chain digitalization level shows that the Europe and Alpine regions lag behind in the maturity of the digitalization of the value chain, mainly due to the lack of workforce digital skills. We already talked about this before in the previous presentation, the need of new competencies that is missing, really missing. Then another requirement is to have a broadband coverage and good internet connection also in rural areas. And also the fact that small medium enterprise seek cost effectiveness and reliability on new technologies, and also they have low investment capabilities. Another important point is that there is a sort of mistrust in this kind of digitalization and in sharing the data, because of it's really important to improve a fair distribution of information in such a way that in all the level of the value chain, the information is well distributed without giving advantages to the one who can access better information. So starting from this and what we studied before, we identified a list of intervention fields that are priorities fields that need really to be addressed to improve the digitalization of the value chain. You can see here. So the first one is to assess really the digital maturity of the value chain, finding the right tools to do that, because we noticed that mostly in this very traditional sector like the wood, agri-food and textile, there is not a comprehensive study to assess the maturity of the value chain. Another point is to raise awareness and competencies among companies, decision makers, value chain leaders, intermediaries, so everyone that can really interfere with this process. Another point is to support the creation of new knowledge, but most of all, the transfer of this knowledge where is really needed. The role of also intermediaries is very important, and they need to be supported towards helping the small medium enterprises in the transformation process. Other points are the improved digital education and digital skill, as we told before, push the infrastructure, data and standardization, and also to work to increase what is the digital trust. And finally, to facilitate access to finance, insurance, and incentives. After that, we just try to draft an action plan. This is just very few points. You can find something more in the report, obviously in the website. So we shared a list of priority activities with the project partners with a questionnaire. And then we could prioritize this action and put in a timeline that go from now to more or less 3-4 years from now. This action obviously depends on the willingness of partners to invest in this, the availability of funds, and also the strategies of the region. And so what we seen before, that really the Alpine region needs to have a shared vision to really put in practice these actions that are needed for the digitalization of value chains. I just want, and I stop here to say that among the action that should be activated now, there will be the map of enabling technology and use of them, build on existing initiatives, create networks, and identify financing schemes. And this point will be also will be further explored in the next presentation from my colleagues. So I stop here, and thanks you all. If you have questions, this is my email.
Okay, thank you very much, Elisa, for this for your presentation. With regard to the action plan, is this also a concrete kind of guideline for a specific smart SMEs? Could they also use that, or is rather you didn't go to this very level on the ground that you have kind of a guideline for development on a specific smart SMEs? Or how can you understand the action plan?
No, the action plan is more for at more strategic level. So how we as a partners, but also other stakeholders, can work together to help SMEs and value chains in this process. So one of the main action that you also will find is also to identify the strategies to really reach companies that is not easy now to do.
Yeah. Okay. So fine, thank you for this clarification. And we will just move on to a short interview foreseen as kind of an interruption to the series of presentations. And actually, I would like to ask Simone Hagenauer. She's from the EcoPlus Cluster Management Agency in Austria, another project partner, for some details on their work in the with regard to the establishment of a network, of a nucleus that will actually continue the work of Smart SMEs, of the Smart SMEs project in the Alpine space. And I have to shorten a bit this presentation, this interview. We have foreseen actually kind of 3 steps, 3 questions. So I would like to focus, Simone, on the question on the results of your activities. Actually, what have you achieved in your objective, in your plan, actually, to establish a nucleus, a network of smart SMEs facilitators that help SMEs in digitalization progress and actions?
Yes, what did we achieve in connecting people? And this is where I put the focus when I took over the task to foster cooperation in the Alpine space in this specific area of natural fibers and digitalization, to identify stakeholders and to connect them. We carried out the workshop, we did interviews and a survey. And to quickly summarize, what are the results? I think one important learning was that the conversation about how to support SMEs in their digital transformation is very much technology focused still. However, the need is actually to empower the SMEs themselves within the specific, in their different sectors, to find solutions, to start with the needs of the SMEs, which might be logistical problems or market issues, and then the digital tools are a potential solution for that. And that's, I think that was a common understanding in the workshop, for example. We asked for the need for cooperation in the Alpine space. Number one need was to connect the different sectors with, for example, digital innovation hubs within their region even, but then also on a cross-regional level in the Alpine space. There is a clear need for more cooperation, specifically for SME projects for the benefit of SMEs. And in order to do that, we need 2 things: a space to meet, so opportunities for matchmaking, and secondly, public incentives. And there, Interreg, for example, gives a very good tool to prepare this kind of cooperation, but then for the cooperation of the benefit of the SMEs themselves, we need something different. And I know that Gert Meyer-Zucköcker is going to speak about that more in detail right after me. So I would just like to highlight this need for a cross-regional, cross-border support for SME projects. And then what are the next steps? We would like to, as a preliminary action, if I can call it like that, we set up a quick LinkedIn group where I invite everybody who is interested in the field of bioeconomy and digital transformation in the Alpine region to connect to us, to use this group to share information about ongoing projects, about events, and sorry for that. Secondly, we will talk to our policymakers in the regions in order to support this a potential solution for cross-border vouchers or funding schemes. And we will do that in cooperation with a project called AdiaNet and an event to be organized in November. That was very briefly a summary of my activities, and I'm open to further questions.
Perfect. You already mentioned that Gert Meyer-Zucköcker will go in some aspects a bit further into details. We would like to avoid duplications there, but I think it's really, we can really do some promotion for this LinkedIn group also. Please join them. I think we have the opportunity also to provide you with the contact. You will find this LinkedIn group actually under the Smart SMEs item, or how could this LinkedIn group found best? Simone?
Yeah, you could reach out, look at LinkedIn, look for Smart Bioeconomy in Alpine region for that group.
Okay.
Or you could look for Simone Hagenauer, and I would be happy to invite you to that group. And then we can also share the link to that LinkedIn group, I guess, via the website, the project website.
Okay, great. Thank you for these details. So there are no other questions in the chat. As far as I see, we could go further on. Thank you very much, Simone, for this brief information on the network. And we very much hope, of course, that the work of Smart SMEs can be taken up and capitalized and continue in some sort of future activities inside EUSALP or also outside of EUSALP. Okay, thank you very much. So it remains to Gerd Meyer-Köcker, who is actually an observer of the Smart SMEs project, to present, to conclude somehow a bit the project Smart SMEs. He will present the policy brief and also next step, the way ahead somehow of our project. Gerd Meyer-Köcker works in the cluster Agentur Baden-Württemberg, and he is very much involved into the EUSALP macro-regional strategy. He is also the leader of a subgroup of AG2. Okay, so Gerd, I leave the floor to you for sharing the screen, please.
Okay, thanks a lot, Peter, and thanks a lot to have the chance to speak at this conference. I will remember, Peter, we forged this project a bit together, so I'm happy to see how it developed. So the key question, Peter, how many minutes you will give me? Because basically I have 1 minute, but might be you in a good mood. So tell me how many minutes I have, then I can better focus on
So
what is really.
As far as I know, our workshop will end at 4:45.
Okay.
So you have roughly 10 minutes.
Okay, good.
Just
then
let's say. Just leave me then also a word to close somehow the workshop, sure. But this is 10 seconds.
Okay, thanks for that. So you can see my screen. Is it okay?
Please go to the presentation mode. Yes.
Okay, you can see.
Perfect.
Can I start?
Perfect.
Okay. Good, great, thanks a lot. Yes, it's always a challenge to be the last speaker, as Peter indicated, the way ahead. Here a bit also to demonstrate that the natural fiber sector is a big asset we have in worldwide and in the Alpine region. So here you can see again where are all these different application fields, and if you screen the current research activities in the natural fiber, you can see there's even more to come. So we are really tackling a very relevant market. These are figures which have been also shown by Olga, where we can see that the level of digitalization of natural fiber companies is very, very different, and there is a need, as my colleague said, to do something. What we also have seen, and this is interesting, is that many companies from the natural fiber sector, of course, had some challenges. We can here see on the left side, but when you can see here all the solutions on the bottom line, you can see many solutions are directly connected to digital solutions. So it became very clear that the digitalization is not just a burden, it is a facilitator in times of pandemic. And here you can also see that most companies, what they tried to cope with was e-commerce, was more e-based and digital communication. So it has shown that digitalization is, the speed of digitalization is increased. And again, those companies who were prepared from the natural sector benefited. Those who were not prepared really suffered a lot. There was a very important workshop Simone mentioned in February this year, where we identified some activities in public funding. Yes, not just calling for public funding, but it has become very clear that we have to reshape the current funding scheme, because the current funding schemes on regional level are very, very often not adapted to the new needs. That was one topic that, which was very prevailing, and Simone also mentioned one of the results is the Innovation Express 2021, where I would like to go more into detail. So the policy workshop very much helped us to or backed the ideas within the project. So what is the way ahead? We identified 3 action fields. One is everything around the networking, that what Simona already said. I will not repeat. The second one is, yes, we need actions to more promote digital tools. There's not a lack of tools, it's a lack of knowledge how to use it, how to apply, and to reduce the reluctance. And I will focus a bit on this topic, is we need the adaptation of regional national funding schemes. Many of them are still out-fashioned and not up to date. So here, number 1, as I mentioned, Simone already covered. Second action field, promotion of digital tools. We need good practices that demonstrate companies how to use it, where to use it, and how to cope with typical barriers. The so-called value chain generator, which has been developed in the Alpine BIOPRO project, will become a very important tool to help us to reconnect to develop new value chains around natural fiber. It is still a quite new sector, so value chains are still young and can be adopted and extended. And we need SME projects which are very practical, like to demonstrate how to use it. You can see the timeline in below. Some of the activities after Smart SME finish should start this year. Others will start beginning of next year. Here, that is something we are a bit proud of, because 2 very important new schemes should be promoted and are part of the upcoming action plan. One is the voucher scheme. It has been mentioned already, but this voucher has proven that it is very effective, it's very fast, it's very quick, it's very flexible. Normally, it's not the big money, but SMEs very often, for their purpose, they don't look for big money, they look for quick and fast decisions. So the voucher is very, very relevant. And within the Smart SME project, we identified also some vouchers focusing on digitalization and transformation are a key. And we have also some good practices from some of the participating regions, how it works. But coming to what Simone said, it became clear that regions have to cooperate. Why? Because the natural fiber value chains are across regions. So here we have the Innovation Express, which is a brand new call. It's published last week, where regions like Salzburg, Fribourg, Switzerland, Baden-Württemberg and Brandenburg can cooperate cross-regional. If you are interested in the call, if you are interested to participate in the kick-off meeting on Monday, please just scan or this QR code or search for Innovation Express. It is a real new funding scheme which absolutely respond to the need which was identified within Smart SME, how to facilitate cross-regional cooperation, also in the natural fiber sector. So I guess that is something which was intended for November 2021, but it is already ongoing and can be used as a test positive pilot for further cross-regional cooperation activities. Yes, so what does it mean in practice? What we should do after Smart SME ended on a very short notice? We need a database with experts, with already ongoing platforms, where what Simone said, we need a network of practitioners, but we also have to align with also ongoing networks which tackle a bit the topic of natural fiber. Smart SME will be well aligned with the EUSALP and especially Action Group 2, where Smart SME was more or less created. So this subgroup will further support the actions proposed and the implementation of the action plan. And what becomes very important is a policy forum in November 2021 from ArdiaNet, another Interact which supports cross-regional cooperation, where we can put all these action plans present and also try to get further support how to implement best these 3 action fields. So this was in very brief. I hope it was not too fast, but it should give you an impression what is the way ahead, and give Peter exactly 4 minutes for the closing words. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Gerd, thank you very much for this presentation, for this information, the outlook on further activities, and also the forum. I think there are plenty of opportunities to take up the thread of what we have done, what we have prepared before. I see there's actually up to now no question in the chat, and we just continue, Gerd. Thank you very much for this intervention, and I remain with the very honorable task to say thank you to all the partners in the Smart SMEs project, and also to the observers. Gerd already mentioned the observers were very much also involved into the development at the very beginning of this project. And actually, without the cooperation of these different action groups within EUSALP, it wouldn't have been possible to work together in the last 22 months on this project. I think we really provided something to also facilitate the access of SMEs to digitalization, and make them finally more competitive. This is actually our goal. And I'm also proud that our activities, our initiatives are being taken up in future projects and activities. So thank you very much for this, and I'm very happy with the achievements. As I mentioned already, these achievements can be found under the EUSALP Smart SMEs webpage. We have plenty of products there. So thank you very much again, and then see you later on in the main conference. I hope we all are beamed well back to our platform. And so see you again, and I wish you a good continuation with this conference. Have a good time and see you later. Bye-bye.